Hey there YouTube. Today we are going to talk about tips and tricks for the Trailfinder 2 suspension.
What's going on there, YouTube? So this is going to be another part in my budget rock crawler build here on the Maroon Trailfinder 2. But it's also going to be a first part of a series of suspension mods that we're going to talk about. I'm just going to break it down to smaller sections. Talk about some of tricks and tips and stuff that have been developed on the Trailfinder 2 by y'all, people who've built them and crawled them and modified them and things like that. So I'm just gonna do a couple little things here and there, and we'll talk about it. So I'm gonna get these bodies off. We'll get started. All right, guys. So the first thing we're gonna talk about in this video is just gonna be about swapping out the front shock hoops. Now these are Gelande 2 shock hoops. They are taller than the Trailfinder 2 hoops, and you can see I've got one of each here. My blue Hilux has 3-link and 4-link SEX 10 shocks, which are 90 or 100 millimeter. I can't remember. Now I've got the Gelande 2 hoops, so it gives me a lot more range in the front. The stock Trailfinder 2s are 80 or 70 millimeter. I can't remember. And they only have one mounting option. The Gelande 2 have 2 mounting holes, so you can adjust a little bit more. They are direct bolt-on. You can just swap them right out. There's nothing janky about it. It's all just easy. 2 bolts on each side, take the shock off, put the new one on. So, like I said, I did it on this because of the 3-link. It gives me a lot more flex. I can get a lot better shock in there. But it's not necessary. You could do it with the stock shocks. You're not going to get as much function. This is an oil-filled spring shock. These are just internal spring shocks, so they're going to be a little bit bouncy. They're okay with the leaf springs, I think. So that's what I'm going to run. My hope is that I don't have to replace them. I'm going to put the Gelande 2 hoops on here and keep the stock factory scale shocks on the front. Give them a little more room because they do extend a little bit past where they set. So I'm hoping raising those up. May have to use the bottom hole on these, but we'll see how it works out. So here's side by side. The ones on the right are the stock Trailfinder 2. You can see how much taller they are. And these will bolt on anything Trailfinder 2. The towers that come on the short wheelbase one are different, even still, between these two. They're kind of in between. I take that back. They won't bolt on because the rear mount is higher and lower. But those shock towers are improved, in my opinion, on the short wheelbase Trailfinder 2 because they are threaded for the shock mount, so you don't have to put a lock nut behind it. That was a little bit. It eased the installation and take shocks on and off a little easier. But I'm sorry, those won't work with these. These are strictly the Trailfinder 2 Gelande 2 swap. Alright guys, I've got one on. I just wanted to show you from the front here what we're doing. And you can see I went ahead and pulled it to the top hole on the Gelande 2 hoop. And that's making this side set lower, obviously. My next step in this is going to be the red leaf spring, so it is going to set lower anyway. I think it'll balance out well. But you can see where the stock shock is on the stock hoop. There's barely 20 mil, 15 mil of well, not even that much, 10 millimeter of travel. So this side we've got 3/4 of an inch. So when you go to push it down, now this side is bottomed out, and this side can keep traveling. So it's going to give us more flex in the long run. It's not going to be a lifted, really jacked up truck. It's going to be low slung. It's going to, I like that kind of crawler better. It's just my personal preference. But it's going to be real low, and it's going to give us more flex on the low side. More, it's going to be more of a droop type setup. So you can see that's quite a big difference. I'm going to go ahead and swap out the other side, and we'll see how it does. I don't have any weight on this truck yet, so it's going to be hard to really tell if we gained much flex yet without a motor and electronics and battery and stuff on it. Alright guys, so got the body back on. And this has no weight in it. There's nothing in the bed. There's nothing, no drivetrain, just transmission transfer case. There's no motor, ESC, nothing. There's not even a steering servo. And I've gained quite a bit of flex already. I'm not sure yet. I was thinking the next step would be the red leaves, but I'm not sure yet. I did a couple videos ago off camera, I took out the smallest leaf and put the medium leaf on top of the main leaf. Now what that does, that gives you protection from your what's it called, axle wrap. So when you, especially if you're running brushless or a motor, a pretty quick low turn motor in these, when you get on it, the leaf springs are going to warp unless you've got a lot of leaf springs on it. They're going to bend, the axle is going to twist front to back, as opposed to like the leaf springs like this, it's going to cause it to bow and do things like that in the middle. And your leaf springs are all bent out of shape. Your pinion angles are off. You'll probably throw a drive shaft or snap one, and you have no fun. So that's why I always put the medium size leaf, not the one with the eyelets, but your biggest flat leaf with no ends. I put those on top of the regular leaf, the main leaf. And that'll help protect it. It won't stop it altogether, especially if you're running brushless, but it will help prevent axle wrap. So pretty happy with it so far. It brought the front ride height down a little bit, which I was expecting. Now I've got to figure out some way to bring the back down some. I was having an issue with the rear suspension. I'm going to talk about that now. Oh, first I did want to tell you the part number. The Gelande 2 shock hoops are available by themselves from RC4wd Drive. It's part number Z-S0798. And I picked those up on eBay for around $18. A little pricey, but they are machined aluminum. They look pretty good, and I think they're going to work out in the long run. They're a must-have if you do the 3-link on your TF2. I think you've really got to have that to be able to get a substantial shock in the front. Even, just the plain axial shocks that I'm running on this TF2, they won't fit. If I put those on the standard TF2 shock hoops, my front tire would be back half an inch, and it would set up about an inch and a half higher than it does. So it's necessary, I believe, on the linked models, but I think it's going to work out just equally as well here on this leaf sprung. But let's look at the back suspension real quick. All right, so the problem I was having here, your upper shock mount runs across up here. It's a cross member. Can't see it because my bumper. And it has lots of holes in it, so your shocks are adjustable, and it comes on the outermost mounts. The inside of the chassis up here is beveled to clear the shock body during compression. So when you push it down, the chassis is notched to clear the shock. But the problem I'm having is hitting the leaf, and I'm only on the second from the outside mount on both sides. I wanted to go all the way to the center 2 mounts, but then when I compress the rear, the shock body gets caught on the leaf spring and I can't go very far. So this is as far as I can go with the shocks where they're at. That's the only way I can make them go all the way down. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to try to run it as it is. Yeah, once we put the red leaves on, we'll see how much softer it gets. We may have to go as far as putting softer springs inside of these scale shocks, because those are just what comes with the kit. You can buy softer springs for them from RC4wd Drive. So it may come to that. But back here I'm having the same. I'm just running the main leaf, and I have the longest leaf on top to help with axle wrap. But we'll talk about leaves more next time. I really need to get this truck running so I can test it between each mod we do on the suspension to see what we're actually gaining. But money's kind of tight right now, so I don't have any electronics for it. But hopefully we can figure out something. But anyways, yep, that's where we're at. I just wanted to show that. I know it's kind of silly. Most of y'all probably knew it already, but you know, just covering all the basics. Kind of start at the beginning and work through this build together. So thank y'all for watching.
Thank you for watching RC Everyday. Be sure to thumbs up and share, and check me out on Instagram for sneak peeks of videos to come.